Thom Hartmann here with you. And is Jessica Tang on the line? She is. Wonderful. Jessica Tang is on the line with us, the newly elected president of the Boston Teachers Union, BTU.org. She is live from the American Federation of Teachers Radio Row. You can tweet her at Jess Tang, J-E-S-S-J Tang, excuse me, J-E-S-S-J Tang. President Tang, welcome.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great. So tell us about the Boston Teachers Union and what your goals are as the new president. And also, this is fairly consequential. It says that you are the first person of color to head the union, the first member of the LGBT community, and the first woman in more than 3 decades. Congratulations.
Thanks. Thanks very much. Yeah, so I'm very, very proud and honored to represent the 10,000 members of the Boston Teachers Union. We represent not only teachers, but also paraprofessionals, guidance counselors, social workers, school psychologists, nurses, OTs, SLPs, a lot of different professionals who work in the Boston public schools. And I would say, you know, our number one goal, of course, is advocating for quality public schools. And one way that we're trying to do that right now is through our contract negotiations. So unfortunately, we haven't had a contract since August of 2016, and so that is obviously a priority. And, you know, we really do see our contract as a way of creating the teaching and learning conditions that our students need and our teachers need to be able to be successful.
So what are the biggest challenges that you face as teachers and as a union?
I mean, there's many. One of them, I think, is just constantly fighting this anti-union narrative. I think that as union membership and density has declined, we lose the history of how much unions have actually bettered and improved, you know, grow in the middle class and improve working conditions that everybody benefits from. So I think that's definitely a challenge as we are seeing, you know, legislation that's trying to take away collective bargaining rights and, you know, pull back a lot of the gains. In terms of the contract specifically, you know, we are constantly fighting, I think, budget cuts, which then really limit our ability to create, get the resources and the full staffing we need. For example, we don't have a nurse, a full-time nurse in all of our schools, or a librarian. We have libraries sometimes, but not the librarians to staff them. And so when we think about funding, people are like, oh, there's like, well, people always want to ask for more money. Well, yes, because we never really fully funded all of our public schools in the first place. I mean, we've got to be the only profession where we have to buy our own paper. And, you know, this is crazy sounding, but when I first started teaching, I had graffiti on my desk. So I like power sanded my desks and shellacked them so that they looked new.
Wow.
Because we didn't have funding for new desks. And so these are some of the challenges. And also, again, just respect for teachers and respect for the profession.
Is Massachusetts a right to work for less state?
It is not.
Okay.
It is not, actually. And here's a fun fact, you know, for those who want to blame teachers and unions for school issues, is that the highest performing states, actually, according to the NAEP, which is like the nation's report card, they're all heavily unionized. You know, Massachusetts is number one, and we are one of the most heavily unionized states, and they all are at the top. And the ones that are actually have the poorest scores are the ones that do ban right to collective bargaining or right to work.
Do you see these battles between the Betsy DeVosses of the world, these weird billionaires, and some who even call themselves progressives or whatever? I mean, the Silicon Valley billionaires who are, you know, promoting this idea of so-called school choice. Do you see that as is that the biggest challenge that you're facing right now? You know, in my opinion, this is all kind of meta to an effort to, there's public education, there's a lot of money in it. Why are the billionaires not making that money?
Yeah, I mean, that is certainly a challenge because, again, when you have under-resourced school districts, philanthropy ends up playing a really big role, because even if there's a small percentage of the funding that goes into the school district, when you need more and are under-resourced, then the philanthropy can kind of say, well, we want you to do this if you want our money. And then they have just like disproportionate influence and policy. And that is problematic because, you know, I strongly believe that teachers are experts. We are knowledgeable. We are on the ground, and those of us in schools are the ones should be informing policy. And you can assume best intentions of some of these philanthropists, but even so, their ideas, if they're not actually reflective of the reality of what's happening in schools and on the ground, can create really harmful consequences. And that's, I think, what we've seen. I can give a concrete example. In Boston, the Gates Foundation had this idea that if we just broke all of our big high schools into smaller schools, then we'd have better growth in student achievement. And the experiment didn't really work. But now we're trying to put our schools back together again. And I want to say, hey, can we have funding to get our schools back together again since that experiment didn't work?
Right.
And that's a problem too, is our students should not be experimented on.
Yeah, I would think particularly with something like a high school, a science classroom, which can be very expensive, you'd want to amortize that over a larger base of students.
Right.
In order to have a high-quality one. It's remarkable. Jessica Tang, the newly elected president of the Boston Teachers Union, BTU.org. You can tweet her at Jess J. Tang, Jessjtang. President Tang, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Great. Keep up the great work. We'll be right back.